Welcome back here, actually. We are coming to you from Paris, France with Nick Haines. We're here to talk about the connective power and the energy of kindness together. This is a conversation with a live audience here in Paris, France. Yes. So we're going to have a really great evening. We just want to make sure that you can hear us and see us okay. This is a first from us here. If maybe you could give us a little bit of a comment here to let us know that you can hear us okay, that would be great. Let me turn off my telephone.
This is a shambles.
This is a first.
This is a
Wright
first.
brothers.
Absolutely.
No.
I love shambles.
Turn the volume down.
All right.
I should have taken it.
So we're there we go. So who's out here? Casper, we have you here, and it's Nitin. All right, great.
Fantastic.
Poonam is watching. Lango, hello, lovely. Derek. Lango, can you hear us okay? So make sure if we can check Casper, can you hear us okay? Eduardo, welcome. Daniel Horowitz, welcome. Where is everybody reaching out to us and joining us here for this connective kindness conversation? Where are you all reaching out from? It sounds like can you hear us okay, first of all? If you're out there, can you hear us? I think everyone can hear us. Poonam is here. Lango can hear us. Great, lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you, dear. Well, first of all, thank you for coming and spending this beautiful evening with us. We are here drinking some French red wine. Cheers. I'm surrounded by a lot of people drinking a lot of French wine. So the evening is young.
And this man has lovely eyes.
Let's see how this evening is going. The kindness. Can you feel the kindness here? So generous.
It's actually passion.
So much love.
Loving this. I'm loving this so far.
Good.
Hey, Andrea Pennington, welcome. Where are you, Andrea? Karen Holler, where are you
Karen.
joining us from?
Oh.
Sumana, where are you?
All these people I love.
Thank you
Andrea,
for the hearts.
Guido,
Fabian,
Fabian.
lovely having you. Mathieu Gallion from Paris. Johannes, love you. Bring them on camera, my gosh. Didn't know we could actually do that. So we got 13 people. We're just warming up here. Thanks for coming and joining us, spending this time with us to talk about the connective power of kindness and really, what kindness is and how we can really lean more into it in the world and how this actually works. So I'm honored to have Nick Haines with me here, my dear friend. He came over from London just to spend this evening with us and film this live. It's the first live we've ever done together.
Yep.
It's the first live anyone has ever done together right here. And hey Guido, we must have the best live audience I think ever. So this is beautiful. So yeah, we got about 16 people here. So why don't we just kind of get going here? We welcome you to keep coming in and joining us here. So this evening was really brought about because I wanted to bring Nick onto my page here to share with everybody about his vision of what really kindness is and how to spread this more in the world and how to actually make it something that is the best way to actually go about being in the world and doing in the world and acting in the world. And that's actually a much more pleasurable way to spend time with each other instead of all this hate and anger and other emotions that actually can come up. That actually we can use kindness and be actually more effective, more efficient, more impactful. And it's much more pleasurable and enjoyable, and we're not getting all these diseases and these problems, these horrible relationships and in work and at home and between people and between strangers and foreigners and all these types of things. So I wanted to bring Nick on board, who he himself is really an ambassador of kindness in the world. And let me put this into perspective for you. Nick was in the month of February at the UN, literally speaking about bringing kindness into the world. Nick Haines is the creator of the Vitality Test, which is a personality profiling system, which is like a life architecting type of approach that comes a lot from Chinese medicine and the 5 elements that are included there. It's a free test. We'll share some stuff at the end so you can go and check it out and learn more about yourself and others in this. It's really quite amazing. Nick's background also has 30 years or more than 30 years as a practitioner in
traditional Chinese
medicine. So Nick has spent a lot of time healing people, giving love, taking care of people, spreading kindness without even being literally considered, an ambassador of kindness, just living his life like that. And in the last years really realized that he was here to really amplify that message. And so I'm really interested in this topic here about kindness because I'm really about connecting with people and using the power of love and appreciation and abundance and generosity when we gather people to spread more this positive vibration, this energy, and get more pleasure and joy in our life. And kindness is definitely a really key part of this. And I have a lot of really kind of key questions, as I'm sure you do, and I'm sure you do, of how we can actually use kindness more and live more from and with kindness in the world to make it more powerful. So enough of my blabbering here, but welcome. We're in Paris, France. Nick Haines, ladies and gentlemen. We are here live. Such a gorgeous group of people.
Yeah. You could say kind.
You could say kind. Very kind. We're a very kind audience here. So thanks for joining us, Steve Sisler from Texas. Hey there, Kitty Waters. We've got Runa from Iceland,
who was at the United Nations as well.
Who was at the United Nations with Nick. Beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's just start very kind of to the point here. I mean, what is kindness, Nick?
Well, that's a difficult question. I think kindness is a really difficult one. It's I think it's the action that sits in between love and compassion. So you have love and you have compassion, and kindness occupies the space between those two behaviours or those emotions or those states. And kindness is the being equally considerate to yourself, to other people and to the planet at the same time. For me that would be true kindness. If you could have a level of consideration for yourself and for the planet and for other people in equal balance and at the same time. So that's really difficult to do. And true kindness is really difficult to do, but when you hit those moments of it, it's utterly breathtaking, and it's a way to bring the world back into balance and to connect us. So just think of it somewhere between love and kindness, love and compassion, and you won't be far off.
And do all of us have the same capacity for kindness? Are we all equipped to have the same level of kindness in the world and to ourselves? That's a really good question. I think a lot of people have a lot of stuff going on, whether it's their history or whether it's current stuff going on, that actually makes it very difficult for them to be in that place. Yeah. And other people have worked at it, or they've dealt with it, or it's less interfering and it's easier for them to get into that space. Yeah. So I think we'll see a big range of people's ability to be kind based on a lot of external stuff. One of the things then people say, well, are there really evil and nasty people in the world that have? I think yeah, there probably people do show up in that way. And are there people that find it easy to be in that place of kindness? Yeah, I think there are people. So it's a spectrum. It's a spectrum that we all exist within. Beautiful. And we were talking, Nick and I, since he's been here in Paris, spending some time with us. I want to welcome Franck Pierrot. Thanks for joining us, Franck. Merci. Michel Pollert. Merci, mon cher. Christy Knights, welcome. Is kindness more about how you treat other people? Is that what really kindness is about? That the more people we are kind to, the better the world will be?
Well, I'll tell you what, let's look at the world. Let's look at... so this is people on Facebook land and people here. This is a question I have for you. Okay, this is looking at the world. So the world has a culture to it. Our work has a culture to it. Our cities have a culture to it. We're surrounded by different cultures all around. So the question I have for you is, what would your ideal culture be like? In that culture, how would other people treat each other? In this, say you can think about my work, the culture at work, or the culture in Paris, or wherever you are. What would be going on in that culture? How would people be treating themselves? How would they be behaving towards themselves? So just in Facebook land, put in that, and let's have a few voices here. How would they be?
Yeah, so for me, people would be listening deeply to each other and what's going on around them.
Yeah, so they'll be listening deeply to each other and what's going on. Love it,
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. And anything else that we'd have within this healthy, wholesome, beautiful culture? What else?
How about you? What would you want this culture of kindness to be? How would you describe the characteristics of this? If you can post in the comments for us,
What would it be
so
like?
Nick can get a sense of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Loving each other without judgment.
Loving each other without judgment.
All
Oh,
the time.
breathtaking. Yeah, loving each other without judgment. Listening to each other, loving each other without judgment. What else have we got? Facebook land, you can join in.
Respecting our differences.
Respecting our differences.
Steven
judgment.
Sisler, respecting our differences.
Yeah.
Unconditional acceptation.
Yeah, unconditional acceptance as to who we are. Yeah, unconditional acceptance. That's love. And that unconditional is just brilliant, isn't
We
it?
got Johannes Helenek, respect each other. Guido Szymanski, seeing each other without judgment.
Yeah.
No judgment.
No judgment.
No judgment.
No judgment.
I would want unconditional acceptance of who I am with the good and the not so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Just a safe place to land.
So a safe place, man. You could just be whoever you are, and that would be okay.
Unconditional and unconditional acceptance.
Yeah,
Should
yeah.
say.
And you can just do things and make mistakes, and all things can happen
Yeah.
in that culture, and it would be
Within
fine.
reason.
Within reason. I look good with a shirt on. So we're going to keep it nice and clean out here.
So we got Michael Cruz also in Paris, dear friend. Thanks for joining us, Michael. Leading by example because there are others watching. Children, people from other cultures, etc.
Yeah, love that. Love that.
Thanks for joining us, Teo. Bienvenue. Lou Ludbrick, thanks for being here with us, darling. Karen Holler.
Oh, Karen.
Coming from a place of empathy.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Karen. I love you. Brilliant. And so
Sense of gratitude.
a sense of gratitude to being
Gratitude.
grateful for
Yeah.
what you have. Okay.
Beautiful.
So we're getting a sense of the culture and the world that we would like to live in, yeah? So it's a generous place, it's a forgiving place, it's a place that's accepting of who we are, it's accepting of all the different parts of us.
Respecting the nature around us as well.
Expecting the nature around us and valuing that nature. Non-judgmental. So we've got all those things as a culture that we would like to live in, yeah?
We have a few more here, just
Oh, yeah.
if I can
Go
add,
for it.
Nick. Listening and knowing we can be listened to from Tracy Jane Hughes.
Lovely.
Generous from Fabienne.
Forgiveness.
Michael Cruz, do acts not call to become? Okay, we've got a question here. We will add this soon.
Yep.
Respectful, forgiving, a culture filled with good boxes.
Yeah.
From Runa Magnus.
We're going to do
Dottir.
the boxes later. Yeah.
So where do we go from here? So we have
Okay.
a culture that we know what we want to experience,
Yeah.
see. We know the world we want to be in.
We want to be in that world.
Right.
Yeah? So we all agree with that? Oh, yeah.
Can I add something?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's probably been said, but like really embracing our differences, and even when we don't agree with someone,
Yeah.
still respecting them as a person.
So, yeah, having that internal, that kind of respect for what...
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So
Okay.
Mia coming.
Oh, Mia from Norway. Mia.
She says everyone has something to admire about them. Look for that in everyone
So look for the very best.
and in their intentions.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mia.
Lovely. So look for the very best in the person, see the very best in the person, etc.
Well, we've got a great audience here. Thank
Fantastic.
you so much for being with us, everyone. This is beautiful.
So, can I do another question?
Of course.
Okay. So now, this is the second question. Okay. So we've got this culture, how we want it to be. We've got a sense of that culture. Sounds good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay. My next question is, do you treat yourself in that way? the way that we've just tried, described and created,
I know.
in terms of how you treat yourself, does that match the culture that you would like in the world? It may do, it may not do. It's just a question.
So what you're saying is, do you treat yourself with
Generosity.
Generosity. Do you forgive are you
Right.
forgiving? Are you accepting of the different things?
Non-judgmental.
Are you non-judgmental? Do you do all those things for you?
I think when we tell our friends our feelings,
Yep.
different situations, some friends can tell us like, be nicer with yourself, like treat yourself in a more kind way.
Yeah.
Don't feel so much guilty.
Yeah.
Be nice with yourself.
Yeah. So your friends might notice that you don't treat yourself in the way that they would like you to treat yourself. That's interesting. So, is that an interesting question?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, what would the answer be?
So for me, in the first 2/3 of my life, not at all.
Not at all. Okay.
On the journey now to yes.
Yeah.
I'm approaching full yes, but there are some places to.
Yeah. We don't do it consistently, and
Yeah.
perhaps we don't do it at certain phases in our life. We don't do it in the total. And this is not a judgment. This is not me saying, oh, well, can I tell you, I treat myself really well. Because I do the same stuff that we all do.
So how about
Yeah.
you out there?
Out there.
Is this,
How would you answer that question?
how
in
would you
Facebook
answer
land?
this question? You repeat the question?
The question was, you've got this culture that you would like to have in the world.
It's ideal.
This ideal culture, the way.
Yeah.
Do you treat yourself in that way? Are you forgiving for yourself? Are you accepting of yourself? Are you non-judgmental of yourself? Do you forgive yourself? Do you listen to those little voices? That lovely thing about, do we listen to others, but do we actually listen to ourselves? The little voices that are telling you that you might need to do. Do you listen to yourself? And that's really, for me, that's a really interesting question. And the answer that most people have is not maybe as much as I should do or as I would like to.
So let's look at some of the answers. So we have Trevor Hahn. Most of the time, I treat myself well.
Good.
Mia,
Well done, Trevor.
Mia, love that question. Self-compassion is extremely important. Stephen Sisler, I'm harder on myself than others, for sure.
Oh,
Welcome Joel Binet in Paris to join us. Bienvenue.
yeah.
What else? Karen Holler. Not often. Harder on myself than others.
Yeah.
Welcome Emily Caillon. Casper, I'm learning to treat myself as I treat my students. But he puts in parentheses, improving. Casper, you're doing well, man.
Yeah.
Stay the course. Stay the course. But let's say that you're kind of pretty along on this path, and you're saying to this question, I treat myself pretty well. So how do you go from there to an even amplified level of kindness
Yeah.
as you're describing it?
Yeah, well, I think what you then come into this question of internal and external. So we want to have our culture in a certain way, and yet we don't treat ourselves necessarily in that way all the time. And that has then consequences to how we feel about ourselves and what we're able to do. It has influences on our confidence, our ability to step into the space. And my thoughts on this are that, okay, if I want to be kinder in the world and externally kind, what's going on in terms of internal kindness? So we talk about random acts of kindness and doing these fantastic things and create this kinder world, and we do these things that are kind, and I want to be more kind, and you're a kindness ambassador, you must be a really kind person, etc., etc. So my question is about what level of internal kindness do we have? Because the issue is that if you just have lots of external kindness and a lack of internal kindness at some level, then you end up with this horrible inconsistent, this gap appearing, this kind of lack of authentic. And I don't mean that, oh, you're not authentic. I mean this kind of incongruent, this split, this thing of feeling a fraud or feeling like you're not you're doing these kind of things, but I'm actually not. So get what I mean? There's a gap.
Yeah.
So for me, it's about how would we close that? How would we treat ourselves in a kinder way? And what would that look like? And usually for people, it's how they would like the external culture to be, and in terms of forgiving and allowing themselves to make mistakes, not beating themselves up. And I think if you can get that right, and you then get to be really, really kind to yourself, external kindness kind of happens automatically, as opposed to how do we get to be kinder. Just be kinder to yourself, and it just flows out, floods out, whatever. And if you don't do the kind to yourself, there's a gap, and the external kindness has to stop at some point, because the gap will get too big. Does that make sense?
So wait a second. So what you're saying is, what I'm capturing here is, the kinder I am to myself, the kinder I'm going to be to the world and in the world.
Yeah, I think, and we're not talking, there's a struggle here, isn't it? Because we don't want to be selfish. We don't want to think, oh, it's me, I love me, who do you love? Sort of conversation. We don't want that. I'm kind to me, but I don't have any spare kindness left. So I can't be kind to you because I'm kind of being kind to myself, and that means you can go play somewhere.
There's so much kindness to go around.
There's only so much kindness, and it doesn't work like that. It's kind of, if you get that real internal kindness going, then there is an abundance that just keeps on going outside, and you start to see that there is absolutely no lack of kindness. And the only time kindness starts to become a lack is when there's a mismatch between what's going in you and what's going outside. That makes sense.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I guess
Yes,
it's
you
like
do.
narcissism that you like. It's everybody has their own narcissism, but then when it's out of sync, when there's that someone who loves themselves far too much, it's out of sync.
It's out of sync.
Balance, or
Yeah.
what have you.
Can you repeat the
Yeah.
question?
So the question is really about this split between, I'm working hard to really love myself, and therefore I can't love other people. Or I'm working really hard to love other people, and there's an absence. Yeah, it creates this split, this separation, and the sense of I'm a fraud, or whatever it might be. So yeah, so when I was saying about that, the definition of kindness, it's the ability to be equal. Thank you.
That's
Des.
kindness, true kindness.
That's true kindness.
Kindness would be pouring for yourself first, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, this has changed
Yeah.
the whole manner.
Yeah.
If I understand the lesson.
There was this whole thing about leaders always eat last, but in the end of the day,
I think
Yeah.
there's a really good question that came
Yeah.
up. If I think some people would think it is too simple to be true, what do you say to them?
to be kind to yourself, and it goes out.
That's a great question.
Yeah, no, it's a great. Is it too simple to be true? Well, what you could do is try it and find out. Just try it and see whether or not that is, because I don't know, most things in life kind of are not very complicated, really. And we kind of make them complicated with lots of stuff that kind of goes on. So yeah, I may be totally wrong, and I'm just sending you off on a whole.
Thanks for coming to this show.
Yeah.
Podcast. Yes, curtain. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Yeah. And I may be absolutely totally wrong, that being kind to yourself has no effect on your external ability to be kind. And all that's ended up is you're actually kinder to the person you live with, the person you share time with, the person you that will be you in the future. And so, yeah, if I'm wrong, I apologise dearly, and that's the way it is.
Should we take some more questions?
Yeah, let's go
I
for
think
it.
Sumana here in the audience here had a question.
Is kindness an inherent, natural human emotion or intention? Does it just come naturally, or is it something that one must really work on?
Yeah.
Repeat the question.
Okay, so is kindness a natural human emotion, way of being? Is it part of our common drive? Well, I think we have all sorts of common drivers that desire to bond, that desire to be safe, that desire to protect, to have more, that desire to understand. And the question would be, does kindness enhance the ability to have better connections and more meaningful relationships? Does kindness keep you safer in your tribe or your organisation? And so that would be my question: is does it do the other things that? And I think people's natural state. If you look at kids, and they haven't got all this stuff that's messed them up, as in us, and they're just being there. They're actually can be very kind, and then they reach a point at which cruelty starts to come in because they have no filter. But in their state, they can be very very kind, as long as they don't feel that there isn't enough to go around, and where they're picking it up from. So I think it's a good question. I think, and I don't think any of this stuff there is an absolute truth and an answer. It's because this conversation is an exploration as to what kindness means to us, to the world, how it will show up.
So I have a question, because obviously I lean a lot on my own version of kindness, I guess, which is abundance and generosity and a lot of giving and these types of things towards people. And sometimes I feel like I run into people who feel that the only way to get things done in the world at a certain point is that kindness is not going to be the way to do it. When the shit hits the fan, when you really have to, influence someone, impose on someone, make things happen, that kindness kind of takes a back seat. And I don't personally feel that, because I felt the contrary of that in a lot of ways. But I know, I run into people, I interact with people sometimes who are just not on the same wavelength. Their approach to maybe getting things done goes almost the opposite way.
Yeah.
So,
what do you think about that then? What you going to say to that then?
Everyone's got their own way of seeing how you can almost get things done in the world, right? I mean, a lot of us have even worked for people where there is no kindness, right? And somehow they think that kindness is not part of getting things done.
Yeah.
So what's your kind of take on it? Can we be super kind and also like be a super winner, a super achiever, a super leader, a super performer in the world?
So you're saying I'm a loser? You're trying to say I'm a loser? No. Yeah. Okay. The answer to that is it's context, and the answer to that is yes, and it's all about context. And I'm going to be really, really careful here, because this stuff I'm going to talk about can be used for manipulation, for creating manipulation. Okay. So if I was in an organisation and I needed to make change happen, okay, I could say, I'm sorry, this change is happening and you're going to do it. And what happens in those organisations is half the people don't do it, the other half pretending they're doing, and there's a passive resistance, loads of money gets thrown in, everyone gets upset, productivity drops down, and your forceful dictatorial state got resistance.
Command and control.
Yeah. Let's be honest, we know that we can pretend it's happened, but that change doesn't really happen. That change doesn't become irresistibly attractive. That change doesn't become easy. It becomes hard. It becomes expensive. Expensive of people, expensive of people's health, expensive of the organisation. Okay, so what did you said? Okay, I'm going to do this change in a way that is kind to each individual. Okay, and then this is when the vitality test comes in. So certain individuals, water energy types, their big question is, am I safe? So you say, okay, I'm going to do this change in a way that's kind to water energy types. So I'm going to look at the resources and I'm going to look and make them feel safe. And if they feel safe, then they're going to be cool about changing. And if they can see the big purpose and the big mission behind it, they're going to be cool. They're on board. Wood energy types, I'm going to say, okay, how can I make it so you can be creative and have freedom within this change? So it's not dictatorial. And how can I say to you, we've got a problem, how could we solve it? And I'm going to engage you within your creativity and your imagination, and I'm going to make you give you freedom. And if you give someone with wood energy freedom, they love you. Fire energy types, you make them, you show that they're appreciated for what they've done, and they will be appreciated in the future. And this change is going to be fun, and we're going to have a good time with it, and we could have a party at the end. Let's go for this change, and we'll go for the love. So suddenly you've got 2/3 of your workforce are feeling safe, they're feeling empowered, they've got freedom, they've got things, and all you've done is you've been kind to them by meeting their core fundamental need. Earth energy types like me, just tell me what's going on. I just need to understand. So when you were telling me to chop vegetables, you just needed to say, they need to be this length, Nick. They need to be this many. Arrange them pretty on the plate.
He did the most amazingly beautiful. Rob, was it amazing?
Yeah.
Is this cool with a live audience?
But prior to that, I was stressed. So you're going through change. Just make sure they can understand.
Do you understand now?
I do understand. And then metal energy types. To be kind to them, you say, how can we make sure that everything is included within this change? We're not wasting resources. There's an efficiency to it. There's a cleanliness to it. And if you do that, you've been kind to every single person, every single energy type. And what happens with the change? The change just happens really, really quickly, effortlessly, easy. Everyone's buying into it. People are happy. People don't leave, whatever. So you did change in an organisation through kindness.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Or you can do dictatorial control. You lose half the people, revolution, and all that
Which often happens in a lot of the companies I've seen and I've worked with and in, etc. And then this is where the rubber hits the road for me, and where we join very much, is this command and control way of running the world feels to me like that's kind of being replaced by communication and connection. And the connection comes down to this conversation that people are willing to have between leaders and the people that work with them, that instead of imposing and having the fear that's not going to be done and not enough time to do this and blah, 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 that you actually open up the discussion with people to find out actually who they are and what really motivates them and how you can get them to actually.
But can I just big up big up command and control here?
Yeah.
Can I just big it up, please?
Do it.
Because command and control saved my life today. Absolutely, 100%. Command and control saved my life. You know that car I was about to walk in front of, and you went, "No, Nick, stop." That was command and control, wasn't it? So it's context, isn't it? In certain places, totally. It's utterly brilliant. Yeah. And if you were then saying over the mealtime, "Nick, pick up the knife and fork. Nick, start eating," it wouldn't have worked so well.
Yeah. No, that's great. I love it. So that's nuance. It's kind of what we were talking about at lunch today with Fabian. This dichotomy of the world. Actually, it's not one or the other. It's their context that maybe require kind of a more of a blend, and that's what's interesting.
Yeah,
is creating this this blend. It's not really either or, but it's like maybe in certain situations, like you were just saying there, that could.
It works. It works.
Drink some more water. I'm trying. Can we have some more? So how's everyone out there doing here on Facebook here? I know we have some questions coming in. Sorry, I interrupted you there.
That's all right.
Is that okay?
Yeah. Feel free.
Woo!
Thank you.
How's everyone out there doing in Facebook land? Do you have any questions for us about kindness in the world? How you can live more from kindness, with kindness, bring kindness into your world, open up to having that part of the way that you function, or anything related to how to use this to connect better. Let's see here. Who's
Casper has a question.
Casper? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
He was waiting there.
Can I just?
In the back row. Sorry.
That's Casper.
Yeah.
Casper has a question.
Oh, Casper has a question. Sorry.
Can you read it?
Yeah. Can I just do that? Just do one more thing on that.
Yeah, let's please.
Because we were saying earlier, are there kind people and are there unkind people? And are you kind to yourself or are you unkind to yourself? Do you treat yourself well or don't? We've fallen into this big trap of it's this or it's this. And that stuff that it's boxes, isn't it? I'm a good person, I'm a bad person. I'm success, and it's this putting things in polarities, and this is what we were talking about lunchtime. Putting things in polarities and boxes, I'm good, I'm bad, creates a gap and a discomfort. So when we were talking about is someone good or is someone bad, we need to say, well, actually, they're probably a mixture in certain circumstances. Are they command and control or are they collaborative? Well, it depends and it mixes and matches, and neither is good or bad. It's context. And getting away from this putting things in boxes to make it right or wrong. There's a blend. There's
this is life.
This is life.
This is real life.
Yeah, this is
real
life.
We all have Jekyll and Hyde in us somewhere. But if we're migrating a little bit more towards, it's almost like aligning in the right kinds of situations, the right kinds of circumstances. Huh?
Yeah. So I had a patient of mine many years ago who said to me, I'm a really, really bad person. And I said, oh, okay, are you? And I said, what's led you to that place of deciding that you're a really bad person? Oh, because I've done some really bad things. And I said, okay. And have you done some really good? Oh, yeah, I've done some really good things too. And have you done more bad things or more good things? She said, oh, I think it's probably 50-50. So I said, okay, so you're not a bad person, you're a 50-50 person. So why don't you, for the next week, just tip the balance and do 51% nice things, and then you're a good person. You're in the good person box. Or you could spend the week doing really terrible things, and then you're in the bad person box. Or you could just forget good or bad and just say, I'm a person, and sometimes I'm not very nice, and sometimes I'm absolutely adorable. And it's just that simplicity of, we'd like the world to be really, really simple. Good people, bad people, this, that. It doesn't work like that. We're all a mixture.
So I wanted to, excuse me, I wanted to welcome some more people here with us, talking about the connective power of kindness with my dear friend Nick Haines. Suzanne, welcome to join us from Denmark. Good seeing you also. Lucas Patrico from here in Paris. Thanks for joining us, Lucas. Merci. Arthur Edstrom, welcome. Not sure where you're coming in from. Jérôme Garand, beautiful gentleman here in Paris. Casper has a question.
Casper, you need to ask a question, my friend.
Thank you, Bootsy here. Excuse me. What if you're breaking up with your girlfriend or boyfriend? Is there a kind way to do that?
I'm asking for a friend.
I'm asking for a friend.
Well, what you could ask is you could just flip it around. Is there a really unkind way to do it?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, we could really come up with some really unkind ways to do it. And then once you work that bit out, then you could say, okay, well, what would the reverse of that be? So sometimes it's really hard to work out what to do. So I had a client I worked with, and she had a horrible mother. I mean, she was just a really terrible mother, and she was worried that when she became a mother, she would be a horrible mother too. And I said, but you've got perfection there. Whenever you come to a choice, you think, now, what would my mother do in this situation? And then you just do the complete opposite. Yeah. It's kind of simple. It's when you... So, with this, what would a bad breakup be? Tell her on Facebook now. I guarantee that will work really well. Not. Yeah.
So, let's assume that you could wave a wand and all of us could have infinitely more kindness to ourselves, and that could have an impact on the rest of the world. What would your advice to us in this so-called, how we be more kind to us on a sustainable basis, be with babysitters, whatever it is? I mean, what is your really advice for everyone so that we can bring more kindness in the world through being more kind to ourselves? What is the path? What's the way to go about this for us?
Yeah, so magic wand, that's number one. That's what you need. Magic wand. Okay. If the same one didn't have a magic wand, then I think there are three main things. The first one is be really aware of boxes, of polarities, that things sit in boxes, and the more you do that, this is this and this is that, the more you've done that, the more divisive and separation you will have between yourself and the world, separation you will have between people. So be really clear about putting things in boxes to make sure you understand them, or you categorize them, or you make them bad, or you make them. So avoid all of those. Get out of those. Non-judgment. Yeah. Don't just see the world in a bigger
open-minded.
Spectrum. Open-minded.
Open-hearted. Yeah.
The second one, I think it's to do. For me, it's to do. And again, this is what I believe to be true. For me, it's to do with the nature of the questions that you ask. So if I ask a question, I need to decide whether or not that question is going to be kind to me or whether it's going to serve me. And we ask questions all the time. So you make a mistake and you go, God, why was I so stupid? Why did I do that? The problem with that is your unconscious mind and your imagination tells you exactly why you were so stupid. And your imagination makes up stuff as to why you're so stupid, and you feel really, really bad. Whereas if you're
don't you get better the next time because you kind of
no, you all you do.
Some people are not like that.
No, well, I think what happens is our unconscious mind will answer the question regardless of how it makes us feel. So, why am I so terrible? Why am I so awful? What's wrong with me? Your imagination, your unconscious mind will answer that question, tell you what's wrong with you, etc. And that then drops your sense of self. It drops your sense of self-esteem. It destroys an earlier version of you that was probably trying its best. And you've just said, oh God, why was I so stupid? They're going, oh, I don't know why you're so stupid. You know what I mean? So it's the nature of the questions that you ask. Whereas if you ask the question, okay, in a the same way that we wanted the culture, in a non-judgmental way, okay, with what I know now, what can I learn from what I was like at that moment? What's the lesson that I've got from that?
Yeah.
And your unconscious mind and your imagination and everything else will tell you what the lesson is. It will tell you what you could do better. It could be forgiving and considerate and kind. And then what happens to the earlier version of you that made the mistake? It doesn't feel too bad because it wasn't beaten up by a question. It was empowered by a question to feel different. And you can ask a question of, why did I make that mistake? And that's not the same as asking, God, why was I so stupid? So you can critique it and you can learn it. So we have a family motto: we don't do blame, we do learning. And you don't do blame, you just learn. You just go back and ask, what could I learn from that? What was the lesson? Whatever. As opposed to going and asking a question based on what you know now. That's actually a really unkind question.
Yeah.
So first one, don't do boxes. Next one is ask questions that will really serve you really well.
And the third one?
Don't sweat it if you get the first two wrong. You know, because we try and think, oh no, I put someone in a box and I asked the wrong question and I did this. Oh no. You're human, so do rule 1 and rule 2, and if you break them, don't sweat it because stuff happens. Just try again the next time and see how. And you gradually then move yourself into a place of more acceptance, more forgiving, better listening, better. You move yourself into a place that is the description of what you wanted the culture to be. Kindness. Compassion and love. You sit from a place in between compassion and love.
Yeah. How does this sound, everyone?
We just try our best. We literally just try our best. And the next version of us tries again, and we just keep trying, and you'll mess it up, and you'll do it, and eventually we'll get there as a unit, as a planet. We will get there. We will get there. Yeah. We will get there. I know we will get there.
Yeah, I hope kindness becomes a new cool.
Yeah, I think it is.
Kindness is cool.
Yeah.
Kindness is cool. Hashtag.
Yeah, it is.
Kindness is cool.
Yeah, and we don't do these boxes stuff, and we don't do the blame. We do good self-talk, self-questions, and So for me, that's it. That's all I got to say.
I think that's great because we are pretty much done here. We've been going for about 45 minutes here. We don't want to take more of your time. Thank you, all these beautiful people on Facebook. You see that Maria Lozé from San Francisco, our niece, reached out. Bonjour, ma chérie. Who else do we have here that's reached out? Yeah. Guido, thanks for joining us. Casper, thank you so much for being here. Arthur, Jerome, Lucas, Suzanne, everyone who was here, thank you so much. Thank you to our live audience for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And can I just say that this is to people in Facebook land that have not got the wine. If you've asked a question in Facebook land and we have not answered it, we will answer it. We'll jump on later. Not too soon, but we will jump on later, perhaps tomorrow, and we'll answer the questions that you posted. So if you're listening to this as a replay, keep asking questions and we'll go and visit. If we haven't answered your question, I apologise, we're just not that kind.
Kindness has its limits.
It has its limits. Anything nearing 10 o'clock in Paris, forget it.
Exactly. So we're going to go have some beautiful dinner. I just want to close with a few things. One is you can learn more about Nick and his work and his life's mission really in being an ambassador of kindness at the5institute.com with FIVE. You can go there to take his vitality test that he's created, which is free. It's gorgeous. Take it, really. It's really, really amazing for this self-kindness first part, and also with the people that are around you and your teams. It's really quite amazing in your relationships. You learn a lot about actually how you relate to each other, and you can open up more with each other and create more of a connective nature with people when you suddenly start to stop being so sort of closed-minded and intense and open up to the variety and the diversity that we have in this world. It really creates a lot more connectiveness between us. So, don't drink if you're driving, if you're underage, all this stuff, because we're on public service here. Thank you for joining us for this kindness moment. Thank you for this live audience. Thank you, Nick Haines, for joining me here on my page.
Oh, thank you for creating this space. This he's such a good kisser. This man just creates. Does he man create the best party space? He's a genius. He loves it. Thank you for creating this. Wonderful.
My pleasure.
We've just changed the world.
Thanks everyone. See you soon. Thanks for coming.